Merhaba arkadaşlar. Umarım hepiniz çok iyisinizdir. Sağlığınız yerinizdedir, sıhhatiniz yerinizdedir. Derslere de çalışıyorsunuzdur inşallah. Şimdi bu haftaki yeni konumuz var. Catholics and Fiction During the Union diye bir başlığımız var. Daha önce de derslerimde belirttiğim gibi Protestan Katolik bir mezhep çatışması daha çok İrlanda'da görülmekte. Dolayısıyla artık bu Katolizm de 1800'lerin işte 19. asrın başlarında yükselmesiyle birlikte yavaş yavaş Protestan ve Katolik çatışmaları kendini göstermeye çalışacak. Bizim için ilgilendiren husus ise daha ziyade bunun Roman'a yansıması. Evet, 1801-1922 yılları arasına geliyoruz. Çünkü 1922'de artık yavaş yavaş modernizmin de İngiltere'de iyice kendini hissettirdiği bir dönem oluyor bildiğiniz gibi. Catholicism and the Novel. During the funeral of Mrs. Daly in the Collegians, Gerald Griffin's narrator notes that 2 or 3 clergymen made their appearance and were with difficulty accommodated with places. Griffin was a Catholic and was later to join a religious order. Yet there is little direct reference to Catholic life in the Collegian. The novel's reticence about religious practice belies its theme of ascendancy, decadence, and rising Catholic leadership in rural Irish society. Burası önemli bizim için, in rural Irish society. But is typical of the treatment of religion by mainstream Catholic writers. Gene gördüğünüz gibi bu dönemde de artık Katolik yazarlar karşımıza çıkmaya başlayacak. The 19th century witnessed a devotional revolution, an extraordinary growth in the institutional cohesion of the Catholic Church in Ireland, and in the conformity of ordinary Irish Catholics to Orthodox religious practice. However, this was not matched by an assertive advocacy of Catholicism in fiction, except by a number of literate priests who had international experience of the struggle between Catholicism and modernity. Ireland also experienced modernization, largely as a result of changes to the land system. Burada önemli. But it was of a special form which favored the farming family rather than the urban individual. Bu kısımda da son ifade gayet açık ve net önemli. The farming family rather than the urban individual. Its emphasis on collective or at least family identity rather than on individual identity created a favorable environment for the church. The Irish Catholic cultural environment thus diverged from the European mainstream decadence in which urban experience and the triumph of individual experience were prized, especially in fiction. Şu son cümle çok önemli. The Irish Catholic cultural environment thus diverged, ayrım gösteriyor, from the European mainstream, in which urban experience and the triumph of individual experience. Bir tanesi urban experience en önemlisi, diğeri de the triumph of individual experience were prized, especially in fiction. The situation didn't favor a literary culture. Irish Catholics were not to experience the crisis of faith in Britain brought on by biblical criticism and Darwinism. There, Protestantism had embraced Enlightenment concepts of knowledge and was disconcerted no longer to be able to live up to them. For many British Victorians, the novel became at least a partial substitute for religion. Not so in Ireland, where such a powerful religious narrative was available throughout society and where supernatural reality remained almost palpable. Thus, in Gerald O'Donovan's Father Ralph, the young Ralph O'Brien, bu O'Brien, buna benzer isimler çok yaygındır İrlanda'da, aklınıza da kalsın. Ralph O'Brien asks his nurse why Catholics didn't write novels as good as David Copperfield and Treasure Island. O'Donovan, for satiric effect, has her replies starkly that novels were lies and that Catholics write true stories about Lourdes and Saint Aloysius and the like. Bir noktada bakın romanların yalan, düzmece olduğu söyleniyor ama öbür taraftan da Katoliklerin daha gerçek hikayeler, öyküler işte şu konular üzerinde veya benzeri konular üzerinde yazdıkları daha çok ifade ediliyor. There were other reasons too. The Irish Catholic community generally had utilitarian, bu da önemli, utilitarianism hatırlayın, ambitions when it came to intellectualism, higher education, the professions and the middle classes. Novel writing was an English or an Anglo-Irish business, not only in terms of authors, but also largely in terms of publishers and markets.